United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And this is the first place for public comment. Is there any public comment? There is none. We'll go to roll call members.
Sarah Kaler,
Maddie Cerna,
Ryan Swartzek. Verification of the posting of the agenda.
Crystal Machado, for the record, the agenda was posted on the 15th day of January between the hours of 2 and 5 at all the locations listed on the agenda in accordance with statutes.
Thank you. Consideration and possible action, approval of agenda as submitted or revised. I call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted and revised.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Any discussion? No discussion. I call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Consideration and possible action, approval of minutes of the meeting held on December 19th, 2024. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Any discussion? No discussion. Call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Library Board Trustees report. Siri?
Like always, thank you, Ryan. Well, I don't want to take anything away from Tom, but I have to say your tech programs are awesome. Not just my son and I have attended all three, and they are out of this world. They empower kids, and it's not just empowering kids. There was this older gentleman during the drone program. He was so excited and so happy about learning this technology. So thank you very much, Tom, for empowering the kids. And I also want to thank Jay also for empowering the kids with the Teen Library Club meeting that my son has offered suggestions of books to get, and he's just so excited that his suggestions are being listened to, and he can read these mechanic books that he didn't know existed or that he had access to. And so I just want to thank Jay for that. Yeah, that's all I have for now.
Thank you. Maddie, do you have anything? Welcome. I'm just going to say, all I have to say is that it's really nice to go down there. I met with Kathy on Tuesday, and how clean and how quiet and the new the library is, and the new JPO officer that's working down there is doing a great job, and it was really nice not to see all the kids all running around and causing havoc. So,
Thank you.
Ryan, can I add something onto that?
yes.
I was talking to a patron during one of the tech programs, and she was just so impressed with how safe the library was. So I wanted to give a big thank you to the county and the library for making this such a welcoming community social atmosphere again. So thank you.
The library director's report.
Oh, that's me. Thank you for those comments. We appreciate that. So in the last month, we held department head tours and had the county commissioners come to the library physically to come into the building and get an idea of what our needs were before we went into the budget process. And I attended a department head meeting the following day or the next day for the budget kickoff, and that was very enlightening to have to go through this for the first time. So I really appreciate all the knowledge that the commissioners have and that the county has to be able to manage this county. It's impressive. I started a new third grade book club at Parks and Rec for after school to hit those kids that are done with their homework and not going home yet. So it's a late afternoon, 4:30 in the afternoon, and typically I have about 18 kids, so that's a big book club, and they're enjoying the story because of Winn-Dixie. I attended a community partnership meeting at the Life Center, and it was a bunch of resource folks that want to partner with other resources. So I have a list of folks that were contacted, or that I'm going to contact, on just different things that are in the community that some people don't know about, or maybe we can host it at the library, or maybe I can go to their place. So that was very interesting. I think there was 20 some different community stuff represented, so I was pretty impressed with that. We're holding interviews for the page position for the 14-hour. I met with Jill at the Life Center, and Tom is going to talk about some things that he's going to start there. I met with the county manager and the assistant county manager yesterday for my first budget discussion. That was really fun. I don't have any answers yet, but I did submit it, so we'll see what happens from there. And I also am starting a new book club at the BC West School, EC West, sorry, second graders. So I'm out and about a little bit, and staff is holding down the fort when I'm not there. And so, yeah, it's been a busy month. It's gone fast. So that's all I have.
Thank you. If the trustees don't have any issues, I'd like to jump down to Tom's presentation, and so he can go back to the library.
That's fine with me. Thank you.
Me too. That's fine.
Tom?
Okay. My name's Tom Patterson. I'm the Digital Information Services Librarian. Basically, it's an IT position. While I'm still a full librarian, my non-patron, direct patron focus is on the library's computer systems, the IT infrastructure, all of that. So I manage all of the computers that are in the library, both staff and public. I'm an admin for our essential services, so phone system, ILS, website. I make sure the agendas are posted on that website. I run all of our makerspace tech, so like you mentioned with the VR and the drones, and I haven't gotten to it yet. Next week we'll be doing an exhibition of the 3D printer. I'm tech support for patrons and for staff. I do tech outreach with some of our community partners. So there's a librarian in the school system that I talk with once a month and give her some statistics. I'm starting in February. I'll be going over to the Life Center, is it once a week? Mm-hmm. Once a week on Friday mornings, and offering that tech support there for anybody who wants to drop in. We are planning to start up our middle school intern program again. It was one that was postponed in, I think, just the previous semester. So we're waiting to hear back on how that's going to go, but we'll have a student who's been selected through an interview process to come over to the library, and Jay and I will work with that student. I'm the liaison to the county IT office, so Colin and our managed IT partners. I'm the liaison to the Nevada Library Cooperative for anything that has to do with tech. So like if our catalog stops working, I'm the one that helps to fix that. And then I generally help keep Kathy and the rest of the staff aware of any developments in the tech world or the library world that could, increase our service capacity. So far, since I started working, I've completed a few major projects. I've done a total rebuild of our website. So I took it off of one platform and put it onto another to give us more control over it. I've got a section on there. There's a space on the page for the library board where I would love to have a sort of a message from the board. So that can be a future item for you all to discuss and write down sort of, just a message to the community. And then also at some point, I'd love to retake your headshots for that page and get them all in the same sort of format. I've done this online meeting space integration. So we have a tool. It lets patrons reserve the annex in our study room. They've also just recently updated that so that patrons can reserve technology and equipment. And the two pieces of equipment that I've put on there so far are drones. So if somebody wanted to reserve time to come use the drones within the library, they can do that. I've set up some automation on our computers to improve staff efficiency. And like you mentioned, I'm running that ongoing series of programs through January and February on demoing our tech for the makers stuff. That's my job in a nutshell. Did you have any questions?
How do you think the programs are going that you are doing right now?
They're doing great. Yeah, we're getting a lot of involvement. I've seen a lot of repeat patrons for those. So, yeah, it's going really well.
Another question I have is, you say that so people can come in and do like drone things themselves or whatever. Will you be like part of that when they come in to rent and use them?
So what I'll do is I will show them how the drone works, and if they need assistance with setting it up, I can be on hand to do that. What I'm essentially going to do is set up an opportunity for them to either free fly it with parental supervision if it's a minor, or if it's an adult, they can just come in and do it. Or we can use a program called Drone Blocks that's available on both web and phones of all kinds to sort of program the drone to fly in a pattern. So it's designed primarily for kids who are learning to do that sort of coding. It's a very basic drag and drop visual interface. There's not any, you don't need to know Python or Java or some coding language. You just look at it and you drag the puzzle pieces around. It's very similar to the Lego Mindstorm coding program. And yeah, so I'm on hand, but I don't necessarily need to be, leading that. So if there's a homeschool lesson that can be built around that, it's designed for something like that.
Do you see any future programs that you would like to implement on the IT side?
I have lots of stuff, but I have nothing that comes to mind immediately. I've got a whole list on my computer of stuff that I do want to do, though. But yeah, nothing that immediately jumps to mind for IT-related stuff.
Do you enjoy your job? Are there any problems? Anything that you might want to share with the board, or anything that that you think we might be able to help with?
Yeah, I love my job. It's great. No, I don't have any problems to share. I think
Right in front of your
Right.
supervisor.
no, it's going great. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
This isn't really a question, it's more a comment. I forgot. I love how you bring the education into the fun. I love how when you were talking about the drones, how you said that about in Africa, how they use them to transport bags of blood to hospitals. So I just want to commend you for that. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think that people learn best when they can tie it into something else. So, the multiple intelligence types may or may not be fully accurate, but if you can learn something, hear it, and do it, you're going to learn better than if you just hear it. And if you can connect it into some other piece of trivia, maybe that will help it stick. And I've got a lot of trivia rattling around, so I try to make those bits of information useful where I can.
Thank you for everything you do at the library. I know Kathy talks highly of you when we meet, so thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Questions for Tom? Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, thanks for coming.
So we'll start and go back to the A under new business. Consideration and possible action, approval of monthly budget reports for December 2024. I'll ask for a motion.
Actually, can I make a comment first? I just want to say that, Kathy, thank you so much for paying attention to the statistics and finding places. This is for December 20. Yeah, this is the one we're on. Sorry. Get confused. But thank you for finding places where we can maybe cut the budget a little for those costs that we can't cut, that just keep on rising, like utilities. So thank you for being aware of that.
I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget of December 2024.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Any discussion? I'll call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Consideration and possible action, approval of library gift fund report for December 2024. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the library gift fund report for December 2024.
I will second that motion.
I'll call for a discussion. Sorry. Call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Presentation by Zip Upham of the role of the Churchill Libraries Association and what they provide for the library.
Okay. Good afternoon, Board of Trustees. I'm Zip Upham, for the record, UPHAM. Hey, perfect. The Churchill Library Association is the fundraising arm, 501c3 organization for the library, and as such, we originally evolved from the Friends of the Library group, which was around for a number of decades. It got to be a point where it wasn't particularly active anymore, and it had not been a 501c3, so we disbanded the Friends of the Library and set up a foundation that would allow us to be a 501c3. Marilyn Hedges-Heller did all the heavy lifting to make sure that we were an appropriate 501c3 to the IRS. And so we have been a 501c3 now for 8 years, something like that, 6, 8 years. And our goal is to be able to provide additional funding to the Churchill County Library so that the programming and collection development can be top-notch and serve our community. As such, it's nice to be a 501c3. It allows us to tell people that donate to the Library Association that their donations are tax deductible. The organization functions separate from the county, so we have our own board. Right now, I'm the chairman of the board, Steve Ranson, Joe Petaruti, Terry McAdon, and we've asked Sari to come onto the board. So we function separate from the library, but during our entire existence, we have always had one library board of trustees as a liaison, so that your organization can pay attention to and know what the association is doing, both in fundraising and in fund expenditures. So, Sari, I hope we can get to that point. I think it'll work great. Just to give you an idea of what the board does across the calendar year, we have 2 fundraising events. We send out a letter in the winter asking some of our generous donors, actually all of our generous donors, to continue to donate to the library. And so that's just a fundraising letter drive. And then we also have in the fall what started out as a wine tasting and has evolved to books, bites, and beverages. And so it's an event at the library where we do raffles. We sell tickets to the event. It's a wine tasting cocktail party. I like the idea of drinking in the library. Think it works. But that being said, it's not a heavy lift as far as the large fundraising goes. We have managed to, just to give you an idea, we normally expend maybe $4,000 or $5,000 over the course of a year to the library to fund books for babies, the summer reading program, additional collections requests from the library. We try not to get into things like furniture and fixtures and what you might consider the infrastructure of the library. We leave that to you and the county. But in that regard, when we did the library modernization, the repurposing where we had to take the collection out of the library in order to redo the space, that was the perfect opportunity to put in the RFID system so that the books could be checked out on a much more automatic basis and checked back in. But to do that, you have to touch every book because you have to put the RFID chip in each book. And since every piece of the collection was coming out of the library, getting stored across the street, and then having to be put back in the library, we used that opportunity. So the Library Association helped with paying for the RFID system that went into all of our collection, and with the both checkout and check-in readers, that the computer-supported computer software that allows everybody now to auto-check out books and not have to go everything through the circulation desk. That just seemed like a very sensible thing, and from modernizing our library, it was the right thing to do. To give you an idea of kind of the strength of the organization, right now the organization has an investment account. It is operated through Edward Jones, and it's sitting about $200K. The library has had the opportunity to use the Morgan Trust gift, which was earmarked specifically, and I hope you all know this, specifically for collections development. And as that gift gets used for what it was intended for, it's going to get drawn down to zero. And at that point, I think we're going to be asked for a little bit more of a participation in the collection development and additions as we go forward. But we hope to be able to continue to do that. The idea is to grow the endowment fund, as we call our investment with Edward Jones, to the point where using the interest or the investment gains off of that fund is the way the fund is used, and the principal sits there and keeps doing what it does. So we're not quite there yet, but I think we're making a pretty good start towards it, and we plan on continuing to do so. And I would be happy to take any questions from the Board of Trustees.
Thank you, Zip. Does the board have any questions?
I talked to Zip last board meeting, and can you explain how whenever anyone donates, you make sure that that money is used for the library and not used to pay Edward Jones? I know I'm saying that all wrong, but...
Nope, you're actually spot on. Yeah, one of the things that is I've always found to be a little bit of an issue when you're dealing particularly with investment managers. Investment managers draw a fee. I mean, they don't work for free. They're doing a job. And so you pay an investment manager to do that. Rather than manage our own accounts, we use Edward Jones to do that. But in order to keep from telling our donors that part of their donation is going to go to a stockbroker who manages our investment account, we have two accounts. We have what we refer to as the corporate account with Edward Jones, and it usually fluctuates around $1,000 or less, and it is used solely to pay the fees that Edward Jones uses or requires from both accounts. The endowment account is all of the money that we've been given to buy things for the library, but we tell our donors that all of that money is going to go to buy things for the library. So we're not paying the management fees out of the endowment account. And what this allows us to do is when we do books, bites, and beverages, or we have unearmarked donations, we can then use some of that to go to the corporate account and pay those fees. But if we go out and ask for donations, particularly from foundations and grants and that kind of thing, larger ticket fundraising, every bit of that is going to go to helping the library do what the library is supposed to do for the people of Churchill County. And so by splitting that little tiny piece off to just pay the fees, we can actually say that and be true about what we're asking people to donate to and why we want them to do it. So it's a little cumbersome on the admin side. We have to keep replenishing the corporate account because it does get drawn down by those fees, but it works very, very well. And it allows us to tell people that if you would like to donate to the library, that is exactly what you're donating to, not to a stockbroker or a management person or some other administrative overhead that we run into.
I'm just starting, in learning all of how all of this works. And I know you said that you guys aren't funding infrastructure, but I'm curious because I would love to see the expansion that's been planned happen. And so I just wonder, when you look around at the resources available in the community, do you see sort of a place where the money for that expansion, an idea of where that might come from, or a suggestion, anything like that?
I do, Maddie, but not necessarily from the CLA directly.
Okay.
Allow me to give you a little bit of background. I was on the Library Board of Trustees for at least 2 terms. I think I was term limited off at some point, right at the end of the repurposing project. The repurposing project, when we redid the interior of the existing library building, we had set money aside for that purpose with generous support from the county commissioners for about 8 years. And so we would put aside, I think it was like $50,000 a year, kind of got earmarked to renovate or redo the library. When we were originally looking at it, the expectation was that we needed a 30,000 square foot brand new structure that was going to require a whole bunch more staff to meet the library needs of our community. As the library transitioned more towards an electronic medium for an awful lot of its collection, the bigger footprint stopped being a requirement. Oh, and in 2008, everything collapsed as far as real estate was concerned. But it was going to be a very heavy lift, especially when you looked at staffing. So we didn't do that. What we then did is took a look at the 1967 building we're in today and said, how do we bring this up to date and at least make it modern and usable and technologically advanced enough to support the mission? And so that repurposing project ended up being about $500,000, which is way cheaper than the $12 million necessary to build a new building. But it was funded specifically through county set-aside funds that came from the county budget. And I would tell you, assessing what that library expansion needs to look like, how much of that, can we incorporate the Ross building, or does that need to be, that's the annex on the north side, whether that needs to be removed, those kind of issues need to be looked at. When you build public buildings, it's very expensive because they have a huge number of ADA compliance issues and all kinds of standards that you have to meet. That being said, the $200K that we have set aside that is supposed to help with the library's programming and the library's collection development is not going to be the heavy lift that'll get you into a new building or an expanded footprint. So I would not say that's going to come from the CLA, which is not to say the CLA is not going to be going along with you in whatever efforts you see as appropriate to try to get there. But it's not going to be like we're going to be able to write the check and say, yeah, let's do this library expansion.
Right.
Most all of that is going to be through the county. And there are grants and other resources that what they do is focus on the availability of public libraries throughout the U.S. That's how libraries get expanded and modified. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Zip.
that's all I have for the board, if you don't have any other questions. Thank you.
May I have any other questions? No? Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Ryan.
much.
Good.
Thank you. Great. No, that's all. Thank you. Yes. If you get there.
Consideration and possible action, appointment of library trustee to be a liaison to the Churchill Library Association.
As Zip said, I went to the last CLA meeting, and it was very interesting, and it is something I would really enjoy doing, getting my hands dirty in that. So if you guys approve me being the liaison, I'll do that.
I'm good with it. If you want to make a motion.
Okay. I move to make Sari the.
I'm sorry, that's okay.
Sari. I move to make Sari the library trustee that will be a liaison to the Churchill Library Association.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
You probably
I
ought to second that.
Oh, okay, I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And I forgot one item. We're going right back up to set the date and time of the regular board meeting for February. And the 27th at 3 o'clock? All right, the next board meeting will be February 27th at 3 o'clock. Any other public comment? Meeting adjourned at 3:30.